March 2014 official meeting of the Solid Waste Authority. We're going to ask Mr. Campbell to lead us with an invocation and Mr. Gray to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for these and all other blessings and the love that you have heaped upon us. Be with us and guide us and be with our decision-making process here today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are ready for the approval of the agenda.
Second.
Moved and second that we approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposes? The approval of the minutes from our February 26th regular board meeting and the March 11th budget workshop. Are there any changes, corrections, comments that you've noticed on any of the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved that we approve the minutes from both the February 26th meeting and the March 11th meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, aye. None notice. Okay, our minutes stand approved as written. Public input, none noted. Departmental reports and updates, recycling, Ms. Murphy.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm going to do a brief overview of several items that are included in your agenda. The first item we're going to update you on are our South Carolina DHEC grants. In December, DHEC let out notification of 3 grants that counties could apply for. We applied for all 3. We were granted 2 of the 3 we requested. The first being a compost bin grant. That's for a home composting program. We were awarded 250 compost bins and $2,000 for public education on the at-home composting. The other grant was the South Carolina Recycle More grant. South Carolina Recycle More is a program that was initiated by several businesses and state agencies to increase the amount of recycling in the state. This grant focused on spreading that word and encouraging others to recycle more. We applied to develop a television commercial that would be suitable not just for Horry County, but for counties across the state. It would be generic enough in utilizing the Recycle More initiatives to promote recycling, with the tagline pages being able to be swapped out depending on what county it was for. So we were awarded that $20,000 grant for that. DHEC's working through the process of the compost bin bid, so it's going to be probably another couple of months before those are in. And we will start on the Recycle More commercial in the next couple of months also. The next item I wanted to update you on, our Grinding of the Greens program, which did end the end of January, but our final numbers received the first part of March. We recycled more than 5,500 trees this year through the program. And as a part of that program, the advertisements that you might see on television are actually public service announcements. So our local television stations ran over 1,800 public service announcements in advertising that program for us. So that worked out very well. Next on the list is the Caught Green-Handed program. We began this in February, and our March recipient, Miss Fanny Cruz, and her daughter and son, Candy and Pedro, here at the Landfill Recycling Center. We're very honored and surprised to be selected. We kind of laughed, Danny and I kind of laughed. Pedro was the main recycler, but his mother had to drive there, so his sister offered moral support. So, but they were excited about being named our Carter Green-Handed recipients for March. Next on my list is just some general information. Ms. Pam Creech had mentioned in the past about an art contest in Lake City that offered substantial prize money for the winners of the contest. So after some research, we found this information. Art Fields is a program that's offered in Lake City by their, they have basically a private art group made up within Lake City that promote and develop this program. It's actually a festival, a 9-day festival that will begin this coming month in April, April 24th through May 2nd. They will have entries from across the Southeast, about 12 states in the Southeast will submit entries. Over 400 entries have been received for this year's contest, with about 16 coming from Horry County. And if you're interested, the list is on their website. And their grand prize is $50,000 in cash. I gave you some of the criteria that's on their website to enter the program. So it's interesting. You can go online and see some of the artwork that has won in the past. Some has been submitted in the past, but it's interesting. Very interesting contest. The last update I have for you is the Swana Spring Conference, which will be held in Pawleys Island, May 6th through the 8th. I've heard from a couple of board members already who are interested in attending. If you're interested, please let me know, and we'll go ahead and get you through the process. Any questions?
Ms. Creech?
I would like to attend the meeting in the spring.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Have any of the children that submitted their artwork here, have they submitted to Lake City?
No, ma'am. One of the criteria for the competition is you have to be 18 years or older. And they do have an Art Fields Junior program, but it's only for Lake City residents. So our children wouldn't be eligible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Esther, advise them about Cecil's sister.
Thank you. I meant to do that. Cecil has lost one of her sisters. She passed away Monday morning early. She'd been sick for a while. I'm not sure if everybody knew how sick she was, but they kind of got notice last week as to how sick she was. And Cecil did get there before she passed, but at that point in time, she really wasn't communicating or able to communicate. But please keep her in your prayers. I talked to her today. She sounded as well as can be expected. But please, Cecil Terry's sister. The funeral arrangements are set for this Saturday at 11 a.m. at St. Mary's Missionary Baptist Church on Ronald McNair Boulevard.
What was that time again? 11. Mr. Hilling?
Good afternoon.
Good.
Just before I get started, I wanted to introduce Rich Stetter. He's our new maintenance manager. He's been with us about 6 months. He is really doing an outstanding job out there. And stand up just so they'll see who you are. And we are tickled to have him here.
Bill, I'd like for him to come up and say a few words to the board.
We're really glad to have Rich here. He's as we've had a few conversations, he has what he calls a vision for where he wants to take the maintenance program. He is a very well organized person, and he's on top of it. So we're tickled to have him here with us. Big help. Okay, some of our department updates. My report actually begins on page 32, just talking about the closure out there. As you can see in the board report, we continue to have a lot of rain out there, and it's just hampered operations when you're dealing with that much protective soil cover out there. They've tried to work every day possible out there, but again, it's continued just hauling soil. All the liner is now down, and but it's dirt work out there. So talking with the engineer and the construction crew, no indication that there's any more change orders coming. Everything looks good right there. April 30th is now the substantial completion date. We've just had so much rain this year. It's just pushed it out, and we've had more during March, so we're probably into the first week of May now before we get substantial completion out there. So again, invite you to come out, take a ride out there, and we're out there yesterday, even though we did not get a lot of rain here, just those off-roads trying to work in that soil out there, they were sinking 3 feet up to the axles in there. They just couldn't hardly move out there. It's just wet. Next, piggyback expansion. We got the piggyback all put on the website, all the bid specs. It's been advertised. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we originally said 10 o'clock for the mandatory pre-bid, but it's now 1 o'clock. And the reason we did that, we wanted to give anybody that may be a little bit of a distance away, give them that ample time to get here. So if they're interested in bidding for it, they got plenty of time to get here. So 1 o'clock tomorrow is the mandatory pre-bid right here. Bids will be due 2 o'clock on April 29th. We hope to have a decision by May 29th, award the contract July 1 and start construction. That's our game plan right now. So everybody's welcome to come out tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We've starting to hear some names out there, getting some interest going on. So we're hoping to have a room full of contractors in here tomorrow.
Have you had any indication? Have you talked to any of them yet, or have you been
We've had,
inquiring, or-
the names that have been inquiring is, we had, of course, King that's doing the closure project, A.O. Hardy, Thale, that was the other bidder against, with King on there.
Right.
And I think we've had Glover has shown some interest, and of course King, that's doing the closure job out there now. So,
So you got about 4 so far.
yeah, and there's notice has been sent to a lot of, anybody that's done work here at the landfill or with our engineer got a notice that it was going out for bid. So again, that's our hope, that we have a room full of folks here tomorrow and they sharpen their pencils. So that's what we're looking for. Highway 90, our cleanup out there for the third quarter, we picked up 96 bags. Year-to-date, FY15, we've picked up 273 bags, over 4,000 pounds of litter just on Highway 90 out there. So it's a continual uphill fight out there to keep it picked up, but that's what we do. We got 273 so far this fiscal year. And we average right around 15 pounds per bag.
Anybody said thank you?
Not verbally. Hopefully somebody has under their breath maybe, but not to us, But hopefully the residents up and along the highway out there, they appreciate it.
I think Keep America Beautiful gave us a presentation at the racetrack for adopting the 8 miles there, so I think a lot of people are appreciative. We haven't gotten any letters yet, but we've had some contacts about it.
We did win the award, I think it was 2 years ago. Ms. Todd and I went to Columbia, and we had got the award for the county for the best looking area out there. So that was about 2 years ago. So we'll probably start our mowing next month. Our driver of the month, Keith Wilson, Unlimited Sanitation, his picture's in here and a letter to his company. He does a really good job. You can see his picture, he's smiling. Comes in, he's always smiling when he comes in. He's a happy fellow. So we appreciate the job he does working with the staff out there. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bidding?
Good afternoon. Financial reports begin on page 45. We are through the end of February, and through this time period, we should be at 66.64% of budget. As you can see in the middle of that page, our solid waste is currently at 67.9% of budget, mixed construction at 69.75% of budget, and our yard waste at 60.83% of budget. So our solid waste and our mixed construction continues to remain above our budget, and our yard waste is slightly below still. Further on down on that page, you can see the recyclable sales are currently at 54.6% of budget. So they are continuing to remain a low budget, of course. As I mentioned at the staff meeting this morning, I did have a conversation with one of the scrap metal dealers that said that they felt like the scrap metal prices hopefully will be going up about $20 to $30 this next month, which is very promising. And right now, the recyclable sale prices have maintained. We have not seen any other great decreases. We haven't seen any increases either, but the fact that they've kind of leveled off is also promising. So we're hoping to see some increases hopefully over there. Maybe even the next month, maybe things will start turning around, kind of coming up a little bit. Sometimes the scrap metal, they say, when it drops, some of the other things drop as well. So we see an increase. Hopefully some of the other prices will increase as well. One good sign, it seems like lately I've gotten some contacts from some different vendors asking to be added to our vendor list. I think just this week, I think I've added 3 new companies to the vendor list for the materials over there at the MRF. So that's very promising as well, that people are interested in the material that we have. So kind of some things on the upswing at least. So that's a good thing. On the bottom of that page, just like to point out to you the days of airspace saved. The C&D processing facility, were year-to-date saved 31.17 days of airspace, and the MRF, 61 days of airspace. On page 47, which is the income statement, month to date, our revenues are over expenses $33,000, and year to date, $383,000. I continue to remind staff, like I said, we are getting towards the end of the year, to continue to watch their expenses, which like I said, they're doing a very good job. They're meeting with me on anything that comes up, anything extravagant that they think they may have to spend or have repaired, and we're kind of discussing it to make sure we've got money available and funds available. So we are watching those expenses very closely. Staff's doing a very good job of maintaining expenses in all areas. On page 51, just the tonnage report. Just like to point out, like I said, our solid waste is 2.68% over last year the same time. Our yard waste is down 15% over last year, and mixed construction is down over last year, and we still know that has to do with the loss of flow control. But we had anticipated it being about 24% below, and we're at 18%. So our mixed construction is up, like I said, it is up slightly this year over what we had budgeted. I was going to kind of point that out to you on page 56. I do that analysis on kind of where we had budgeted our C&D material, and we had budgeted being through February at 46,000 tons, and we're currently at 49,000. So we're seeing almost a 3,000 ton increase over last year, or where we budgeted, I should say. So like I said, so that's a good thing. I do think the economy is helping a little bit with that as well. We have an upswing in the economy, so that's definitely helping our C&D material. The only other thing I had for you was back in January, I had come to the board and asked about applying to the state health insurance for us to see if we would qualify on our own for our state health insurance. We're currently under the county's health insurance plan, and there are different criteria that you have to meet to qualify. And we knew that it was a shot in the dark maybe, but we wanted to see. We felt like as a entity of the county that possibly we would qualify on our own. We did receive notification yesterday that we did not. Like I said, we had kind of gone with the idea of what they call a special group, but those special groups have to be a group that is formed by a state legislature, and we were formed by an ordinance. So therefore, we can continue to remain on the state health insurance under the county. And like I said, of course, we're all aware that they're also taking a look at going out on bid for their health insurance next year. So we're going to continue in that, and I'll continue to kind of keep in touch with the county, follow what they're doing to see if we'll need to maybe do the same, go out on our own to look at policies, or see if we can remain with them as they go out on their search. So as we do, like I said, we'll definitely keep you updated, let you know kind of where that stands. you know, and see where things go. But that, like I said, we did receive notification yesterday and just kind of wanted to update you on that. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Besson is not here. I'll do this.
Okay, in the absence of Mr. Besson, we're gonna hear from Mr. Knight.
You got an update on him?
Yeah.
Mr. Besson is not doing well. He's got, my grandmother would say he's got 7-year itch, but,
My goodness.
he went back to the doctor this morning. They did more blood tests, got it back to Duke. Hopefully tomorrow he'll have some ideas on what he has to do next. But they've got him back on his original medicine at a higher rate. They had taken him off before he went to Duke last week to where he'd be kind of medicine neutral, I guess. And but now it's time to find out something about him if you want to, because he's on medication and he's talking kind of slow. So
Now, is he here or is he still at Duke?
no, he's here.
He's here.
He's at home. He went to his medical doctor this morning in Little River to take the blood test. So everything's good. Okay, the incentive program is on page 62. And at the convention last week, we heard different things from different people on what they were doing to try to encourage more recycling. And I think we've got one of the best incentive programs that we could come up with. If you more stuff you take from the MRF, the less your tipping fee is at the gate, and not very many people are doing that. Most of their incentive work is done by policy and procedure, either local or state, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. But to year to date, we paid out $207,594 on incentive programs, and about $127,000 left in the budget for that process. The solid waste management plan update. We have one more city that we'll be visiting Monday night. That's Atlantic Beach, and that will be the last one. Everybody else has approved the plan, and then it will come back to the board. We haven't heard anything from Atlantic Beach. Don't foresee a problem there, but some of us will be there Monday night to make that presentation.
What time is that meeting?
7 o'clock. Okay, we'll move into points I'd like to make. One of the things we've got getting everything lined up for the Montgomery trip, and after the convention last week, I think everybody's more excited about going and seeing exactly what a Dirty MRF is, what they're doing there. And even I made a mistake of saying we're going to visit the repower plant in Montgomery. It's Infinitus Power out of Florida that's managing that and got the contract with the city of Montgomery. So I think they were together on the bid, Charleston, some way or another, but Infinitus is actually the one that's got the plant in Montgomery. We need to get everyone's driver's license copies, the forms made out. I think Nanette's got most of them. My understanding, we got 2 county council members that's going, which is a good thing.
Which 2 county council members are going?
Al Allen and the chairman.
Great.
Yeah, I think so too. So we're looking forward to that trip, and the Carolina Recycling Association meeting that we had last week, I think was excellent. I just wish it'd have been where we could have gone to all the seminars, but at times they were running 2 or 3 workshops at the same time, so we basically split the group up to where we would have someone that would be able to sit through most of them. Is talking with the staff this morning, it's always good to go to those things because it makes you proud of where you are and what you're doing, because a lot of it we're already doing and doing it well. But if anybody else would like to speak to anything that you saw or heard, that'd be fine.
I thought the feedback from other participants about,
Mike.
that had been here, very complimentary about our operations. That was another thing to be proud about.
The folks that visited out here really had a lot of good things to say, and of course, DHEC has been singing our praises. By the way, did Scott Montgomery, he was gonna hear from Charleston, have you heard anything back on that yet?
No.
They were supposed to get, Charleston was supposed to make the decision as to what direction they were going.
And Scott's with Repower, and of course, he was at the meeting last week, but I haven't heard anything back from him. So I don't know how that's going.
It'd be interesting, maybe track him down, and, because he said he would not mind sharing whatever decision they made on that.
We'll give him a call tomorrow, see how they're doing down there. And I encourage everyone to go to Paulie's. That's always a good one also, to meet and greet. And one thing about these things, you meet people that you talk to on the phone, you put a face with a name, and you can sit around after a meeting and find out really what happened to a program, or what you shouldn't do in a program, or where they kind of stepped in it, and you don't need to do the same thing. So I encourage people to go.
There were, I've got some paperwork here I want to give to Esther
Yeah.
to put with our next recycling meeting, because they had a lot of different things we'd already talked about. One of the things they did, they had signs that were peel-off that they actually put on their bins that told you what you could and described it. They also did a mail-out, and that was where they thought they got the most bang for their buck, to the people in the county, letting them know what we recycled and what they didn't. They got more than 10 or 11,000 return postcards discussing that, and their recycling picked up. So there was a lot of marketing and research that they had that I think we can benefit from. Also, I still have my book, but the presentations they did are all available online, and there were several that I think we need to look at some point to see how they did their marketing and the amount of recycling that they got from that. But I'll give that to Esther.
That calendar that they mentioned was, you might mention that.
Right, they were doing a calendar, and the people in the community, they didn't do it for 2 years because of funds, and people started asking for it. So that was one of the mail-outs they did. And on the calendar, like we do our Christmas tree, they had on the calendar, every time they had a program, whether it was recycling, whether it was school children, whether it was the grinding of the greens, and everything on that calendar, and people would put it up on their refrigerator, and they knew exactly when it was done. There were other businesses that showed recycling, what they would do for them, how they did their recycling, and it showed pictures of what they actually did so that they could separate their own in-house to do that, as well as composting. And they said that mail-out was one of the things that got them the most recycling, the most good press, and that they were going to start doing that again. And I know that mail-outs like that, the way they had it folded up, I think it cost them 30 cents to mail.
30 cents each.
Each to mail, which was not bad. And I think that's one thing that we should be doing with the people like Santee Cooper that we partner with, maybe them to partner with us with that, the county and their Fund 6, because that would help their business and get it done properly and have more recycling. And we could see how much more money we made on recycling to see what it would do as far as paying for that. And, you know, we could always have the men on the staff and the board have their picture on each month. And
Yeah,
can you imagine how many of those we could give out?
those pictures would
Where
help.
they go?
Straight to the recycling bin.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine where they go.
And on that calendar, they had a chart that told you what you can recycle, what you can't
Right.
recycle, spelled it all out.
Yeah.
So there's no mistake about,
Yeah.
what
We also got the card from the lady that did the marketing, that did that, and you don't have to reinvent that wheel. We don't have to pay a marketing person. All we have to do is look at what they did and how they did it. And the calendar is on there, and we can do just exactly what they did without having to pay the price that they did for the marketing and how that's done. I'm sure our staff can look at what they did and fix that. So it wouldn't cost us nearly what it costs these people to do that.
Well, the county is the biggest recycler. And I think a little bit of encouragement on that side that, they could be a lot more. And of course, the more that goes to that center, it's less their tipping fee is at the gate. So
That's right. It
they are-
helps them if we can get something that would actually help that recycling. And they actually did studies after that was done to show how much more money they did make and how much it cost to do this, and that it was extremely beneficial to them. They'll be doing their calendar every year from now on, that they said with that. Another thing they did that I thought was interesting, and that was they put a wrap around their trucks that picked up recyclables, and the wraps were great. And they also said that the best thing they did was take off of the internet, like a picture of Betty White. Anyone that, each section, you could have a rock star or whatever, that it was amazing how much more interest they got when they appealed to people through the star quality and who recycles and who got on the internet and put their picture on there that they did that. But the wrap said exactly what you recycled, and it was really, it was not only informational, but the words were big enough you could read it immediately. It wasn't something that you had to take the time to do. And that one message that got out, and they said they had a tremendous response to that as well.
I think Vanna would look better than Betty.
Oh, I agree with that. I'd like to compliment Bill Hilling and his staff. Everybody that visited the landfill on the tours had an awful lot of good things to say, and that it was in great shape. You guys did a good job.
Well, they went to the MRF too.
What? The Murph also, if you don't mind.
Use your mic, Mr. Campbell.
Ms. Murphy, the Murph also.
Yeah, get out of this hole.
Thanks, Mr. Knight.
Is there anything else, Mr.
I
Knight?
think that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Committee meetings, recycling committee?
Mr. Chairman, on March 9th of this year, I had a Recycling and Corporate Affairs Committee meeting. I was chairman. We had several points of discussion, including the glass crushing system discussion Ms. Murphy presented. We talked about various things under that topic. We also talked about the recycling program partnerships that we have, both current and potential. Finally, we talked about the 3 and 7 plastics recycling article Ms. Creech brought to the Solid Waste Authority's attention. No action was taken and no motions were made. So that's all I have to report at this time.
Okay, no actions were taken. Except receive report for information?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any old business? Anything unfinished that we need to discuss? No, we got new business. New business, Army Corps of Engineers right-of-way requests.
We got a letter from the Army Corps requesting to enter our property over there to A2. There's some, I guess, unexploded ordinances. They think they want to study them in an area you can see on a map. There's 2 or 3 maps there in your board book. And they had sent us a letter asking permission to enter our property. And what we'd like to do, our staff's recommendation is that the Board of Directors authorize the Executive Director to sign the right-of-way entry for environmental assessment and response for the Army Corps of Engineers to gain permission to enter the property owned by the Solid Waste Authority to enable them to conduct the remedial investigation and feasibility study. So they did this about 2 years ago. They went through some of our property out there. It's just, I think where they want to go is not on our property. They want to go through it to get over there to where they need to investigate at the old bombing range.
We recommend doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think they just want to go through our property to get to other property?
Yes, that's the way we understand it. That's what they did last time.
Okay, because definitely if we have something like that here, we know it. But the last sentence that they had in there, that the government's liability under this clause is subject to the availability of appropriations for such payment if they caused a problem. And nothing contained in this agreement may be considered as implying that Congress will at a later date appropriate funds sufficient to meet any deficiency. In other words, they're willing to pay for it, but they don't have any money if they cause us a lot of money. I have a problem with that.
Well, I think probably what they're talking about doing, going through our property is not gonna be much of a problem. But if they find something on our property, then we certainly need to know it before we get in there and start digging dirt. And we've heard some of the old military people say all they dropped out of airplanes was bags of flour, but them bags of flour turned into bombs over in the middle part of the bombing range area. So, but I think we need to get with them, talk with them, work this program out and see. They got some fancy X-ray equipment that they can use, so we'll just keep them eye on them and keep somebody with them.
Okay, the whole report that they did is in the library, and they did originally say that it was a dummy bombs or the flour and so forth, but if you read that whole report, that's not true. There are other things that are in there, and they have been found when people have done work at the beach and all the way out at Carolina Forest. So I agree with you. We definitely need to make sure we don't have that here on the landfill to have to contend with. I just don't like that last statement.
Any other comments? You've got a recommendation from staff. What's your disposition?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second that we accept staff recommendation and grant them permission. All in favor, make a number by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. I have it so ordered.
Thank you.
Any roundtable discussion?
I just had one thing I wanted to ask. When we take paper, do we take shredded paper from businesses that do the paper shredding?
Do we take shredded paper?
Yes, ma'am, we take shredded paper from like Shred Rights and business of that sort, if they bring it to us. We're not getting as much from them as we have in the past several years. We also take shredded paper through the recycling centers as long as it's bagged, so residents can also bring it.
Okay, I had just seen in improving material quality, they were talking about residents and large businesses that shredded that and how it was different and what part you could recycle, and it coming in plastic bags. I'm assuming we don't have that problem.
When we get it in, because we keep our office paper separated from anything else in the waste stream, in our first container enclosure at the MRF, they pull the shredded paper in bags out, and then it's taken directly over to the bunker that has the office paper in it. So for us, it's not a problem getting it in that way. If it's not bagged, it becomes a mess in the system because it then becomes a reject item.
Okay, thank you. The only other thing was, at the conference, they had a place that had bio-custom bags, and they said that theirs were guaranteed to compost in 90 days. And I got you this information. That'll be with the other information I give you if you'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one thing. When we attended the city council meeting for Conway a few weeks ago for the resolution, Tom Anderson, city council member, said that he had a tenant in Conway who has a glass business, and he was not able to recycle his glass. So Councilman Anderson asked that, as a solid waste authority, if we could look into the recycling efforts to recycle glass. So I understand Mr. Besant clarified and said that we know we recycle glass, it's just that type of glass cannot be recycled with window panes. So I think Mr. Besant was going to address it with Councilman Anderson, but I just want to bring that to your attention.
Anything else? Not, Chair, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, make a number by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.